Pantheon is Busch Gardens Williamsburg's new for 2022 roller coaster, and this ride is excellent. It is an Intamin multi-launch coaster that features an incredible swing launch, a 178-foot tall vertical spike, and 2 inversions. This is easily the best ride in the park and gives Busch Gardens Williamsburg a much needed standout coaster. This is our full-length, in-depth review of this coaster and comments about what you can expect when you come to Virginia to ride Pantheon. Before we get started, please like and subscribe as it greatly helps the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now, let's harness the power of 5 Roman gods. Pantheon is located in the Festa Italia section of the park. Pantheon's elements dominate the skyline in this section of the park, and that is with Tempesto and Apollo's Chariot right across the midway. When you come to the Festa Italia section of the park, your first impression of Pantheon is a stone pillar with the ride name and an incredibly imposing vertical spike. You then walk over a bridge into the ride's dedicated plaza, and this plaza predominantly displays the ride. After you finish staring at the trains going backwards up the vertical spike, you make your way through the ride's entrance queue by walking under a great arch with the Pantheon logo. You proceed through the queue with some loose theming, explaining a little bit about the ride, primarily various sections of the ride layout, which represent the 5 Roman gods whose power you will be harnessing throughout the ride. You walk under a covered section and make your way into the ride station. If you happen to be in the park on a busy day, you get really good views of the ride's elements, which we will get to shortly. You then climb some stairs into the station where you encounter little to no theming except for some banners and row signs. When it is time to ride, you board one of Pantheon's 2 20-passenger trains and pull down your lap bars. And these train seats and lap bars are very comfortable and open. When we rode Pantheon most recently, we even commented that Intamin really perfected these types of restraints. The closest restraints we can compare them to are the ones you find on Skyrush at Hershey Park, but Pantheon's restraints are so much more comfortable. Once you have secured your lap bars, you turn left out of the station and start your ride on Pantheon. Once you leave the station, you go through a serpentine-like section before engaging the first launch into a 0G roll, which delivers some great hang time in the front rows and some good whip in the back. You then turn to the right into a rightward outer bank airtime hill, and then into a leftward outer banked airtime hill. After that second hill, you take a banked rightward turn into the next section, the swing launch. You head straight into a boost followed by an airtime hill, and then into another slight boost up the top hat, but you do not clear it. You start rolling backwards into another boost section over an airtime hill, which gives some of the most forceful airtime on the ride, especially in the front rows. After you fly over the airtime hill, you go over another boost, which sends you right up the vertical spike. And this spike is cool. You don't get as much airtime in the front rows, but you still get a good moment of weightlessness. In the back rows, you fly up that spike and get some great floater airtime before plummeting back down the 90 degrees into another boost over the airtime hill, which is now a powerful speed hill at this point in the ride. And then you fly into another boost, and that boost sends you up the top hat. This time, you fly right up and into a slight stall before plummeting down the other side, sloped at a 95-degree angle. In the back rows, you get whipped out of your seat and then right into a large outer banked airtime hill, which delivers some good floater airtime in the front rows, followed by another right-hand turn. This right-hand turn has a slight whip to it, which you can definitely feel in the back rows. You then fly into a 0G stall, which delivers some great hang time in the front rows and decent hang time on the rest of the train. You also get some great hand choppers. You exit the 0G stall the opposite way you entered it. Take a banking left-hand turn into a quick whip to the right before turning left again into a rightward facing stangle dive into the final brakes. Pantheon has a little bit of everything: intense ejector airtime, good floater airtime, hang time, and some great whippy moments. In fact, the stangle dive into the final brakes is one of the craziest parts of the ride, and this is where we make the only Pantheon Skyrush comparison of the video. On our very last ride on Pantheon, during our most recent visit to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, that stangle dive delivered a very similar force to Skyrush's stangle dive while sitting in the back row. While it did not have the same power as the back row left wing seat, riders in the back row will get whipped laterally as the train flies into the final brakes. Pantheon might be one of the only coasters out there where riders cannot go wrong with either the front row or the back row, as riders can feel some of the strongest forces through parts of the ride in the front row and other parts in the back row. While we prefer the back row because it gets more of those forces, you cannot go wrong with Pantheon. Pantheon's night rides are also amazing. Because there is no lighting near the ride except next to the vertical spike and the ride station, most of the ride is in pitch black, which makes the top hat, outer banked airtime hill, and the rest of the ride after the zero-G stall all the more thrilling. And between night rides, some whippy elements, and some sneaky good hand choppers, especially coming out of the zero-G stall, Pantheon delivers the best ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. The only knock we'll give Pantheon is its theming. Busch Gardens Williamsburg missed a golden opportunity to hit one out of the park with Pantheon's theming. Having actually been to Rome ourselves and seen the Roman Pantheon, we could have definitely seen a beautiful Pantheon themed station with some marble colored theme columns. But hey, it is still a great ride. Overall, Pantheon is the best ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg and easily a top 3 coaster in the Commonwealth of Virginia. From a ride perspective, it delivers on nearly every level. If only it had a little bit more airtime on the larger outer banked airtime hill. It certainly is one of our favorite coasters, and it deserves praise for its smooth and only one of its kind in North America ride experience. So for final score, we give Pantheon a 9.5 out of 10. This ride experience is so good, but Busch Gardens could have done something more with its theming. Theming aside, Pantheon delivers and will definitely wow first-time riders. Let us know in the comments if you have ridden Pantheon, and if so, what you think about it. Should Busch Gardens have done more with the theming? And as always, stay tuned for more coaster reviews and amusement park content from Coaster Adventures, and we hope to see you in the next one.